Hi everyone, this is the group of random students, and we did our country project on Japan.
The date was September 1st, 1923, and the event was the Great Kanto earthquake, at the time considered the worst natural disaster ever to strike quake-prone Japan. The initial jolt was followed a few minutes later by a 40-foot high tsunami. A series of towering waves swept away thousands of people. Then came fires, roaring through the wooden houses of Yokohama and Tokyo, the capital, burning everything and everyone in their path. Since the period of imperial restoration began in 1868, the Japanese government had been suspicious of democracy. Limited suffrage was allowed only for tax-paying male property holders over the age of 25, roughly 1% of the population. After World War I, popular movements arose to eliminate the tax-paying requirement. With increasing student and labor demonstrations and popular press coverage, the government was moved to provide universal male suffrage. 1941, the start of war. The Japanese offensives of 1941 were composed of several bold moves across the western Pacific basin, something never before attempted on such a large scale. This military solution called for the complete occupation of Southeast Asia and the Dutch East Indies in order to secure much-needed raw resources. The most famous part of this plan was executed with the dawn attack against the American Army and Navy bases located on the Pacific island of Oahu, Hawaii. On August 6, 1945, during World War II, an American B-29 bomber dropped the world's first deployed atomic bomb over the Japanese city of Hiroshima. The explosion wiped out 90% of the city and immediately killed 80,000 people. Tens of thousands more would later die of radiation exposure. 3 days later, a second B-29 dropped another A-bomb on Nagasaki, killing an estimated 40,000 people.
Japan is known for its unique culture and heritage dating back to 10,000 BC. It includes many traditions, celebrations, annual festivals, and ceremonies. Some important festivals include the Sogatsu, being the New Year, where families reunite and celebrate the New Year with many lit lanterns on the streets outside. Another important festival is the Hanami, also known as the Cherry Blossom Festival. Hanami is an ancient tradition of going out to enjoy the blooming of many cherry blossoms and sometimes plum blossoms in parks and throughout the countryside in Japan. For special events, Japanese women wear the special costume called the kimono, a full-length robe that starts from the wearer's shoulders to the ankles. The robe is tied around the middle with a sash called the obi. Kimono for special occasions were made of rich fabrics such as silk and featured designs inspired by nature, such as cherry blossoms, autumn leaves, butterflies, and pine trees. Kimonos are now worn mostly for ceremonial occasions and events such as festivals and marriages. Holidays is a big part in Japanese culture. One of the most important holidays in Japan is the Coming of Age. The Coming of Age festival is celebrated on the second Monday of January. All young people that turn 20 years old in that age all celebrate the Coming of Age. 20 is an age considered the beginning of an adulthood. It is also the minimal legal age for voting, drinking, and smoking in Japan. Celebrations are held nationwide in every town, with most of the people turning 20 participating in formal dresses. February 11th is the National Foundation Day. The National Foundation Day is a very important holiday because, according to history, the earliest Japanese empire was crowned on this day. Another tradition of the Japanese culture is the celebration of the Golden Week. The Golden Week is a collection of 4 holidays within a week. Holidays is a big part in Japanese culture. One of the most important holidays in Japan is the Coming of Age. The Coming of Age festival is celebrated on the second Monday of January. All young people that turn 20 years old in that age all celebrate the Coming of Age. 20 is an age considered the beginning of an adulthood. The Japanese greeting and social behavior is very different from the American culture. Where Americans greet each other with a high five or a handshake, the Japanese people greet each other with a 15 degrees, 30 degrees, and 45 degrees bow. The 15 degrees bow is the most common bow, as if to acknowledge someone as they're passing by or start a general conversation. The 30 degrees bow is used in business interaction and when greeting customers. The 45 degrees bow is the most polite bow and is used to express great feelings of deep gratitude or apology. Before eating a meal, Japanese people clap their hands together and say itadakimasu. Itadakimasu is a polite word that means receive or accept and expresses a feeling of gratitude towards the food and the people who prepared it. When entering the room, Japanese people leave their shoes outside and wear slippers as they walk into the building as to show respect for the homeowners and to keep their house clean. Japanese food has been developed over the past 2,000 years. Although it has strong influences from China and Korea, it has unique differences that can solidify it as Japanese cuisine. Because Japan is an island and close to the sea, many of its dishes are seafood. It includes octopus, shark, and fish. A popular fish dish is called the sashimi. Sashimi is raw sliced fish that goes with a sauce called wasabi. The Japanese people also enjoy to put sashimi over their rice. Although sashimi is very popular in Japan, but the most popular of them all is the sushi. Sushi is a roll of vinegar flavored cooked rice over raw fish, vegetables, or eggs. Sushi can also be topped with nori, which is seaweed, wasabi, and tempura, which is a fried shrimp. A typical Japanese meal consists of some meat, vegetable, and soup, along with rice and fish.
Shinto and Buddhism are Japan's two major religions. Shinto is as old as the Japanese culture, while Buddhism was imported from the mainland in the 6th century. Since then, the two religions have been coexisting harmoniously. Most Japanese actually consider themselves Buddhist, Shintoist, or even both. The politics of Japan is conducted in a framework of a multi-party democratic constitutional monarchy, whereby the emperor acts as a ceremonial head of state, and the prime minister is the head of government as well as the head of the cabinet, which directs the executive branch. Legislative power is vested in the National Diet, which consists of the House of Representatives as well as the House of Councillors, and judicial power is in the courts.
Japanese, aka Nihongo, is the national language of Japan and is spoken by over 120 million people. The first recorded appearance of Nihongo was traced back to the 8th century. Not much is known of Nihongo before this time due to the fact that Japan had not yet developed a writing system. Once Buddhism had spread from China, the Japanese, aka Nihongo, is the national language of Japan and is spoken by over 120 million people. The first recorded appearance of Nihongo was traced back to the 8th century. Not much is known of Nihongo before this time due to the fact that Japan had not yet developed a writing system.
The Japanese use of loanwords, phonetic representations of English words in Japanese, becomes more widespread as Japan's sakoku, or isolation period, ends. This is known as modern Japanese, or Nihongo. Japan has three types of writing systems / alphabets: kanji, katakana, and hiragana. Kanji is most prominent and consists of around 7,000 or so characters. In kanji, verbs are conjugated by formality rather than gender or person. In the Japanese language, the sentence structure goes from subject to object to verb, rather than the subject to verb to object that is observed in English.
The Toraiji Temple in Nara is a feat of engineering. It is not only the world's largest wooden building, but it is also home to the world's largest bronze Buddha statue. Surrounded by beautiful gardens and wildlife, the grounds hold many artifacts of Japanese and Buddhist history. Deer are even allowed to freely roam the grounds as messengers of the Shinto gods. The Tokyo Tower is a testament to the advancement of technology and modern life. Inspired by the Eiffel Tower design, it is the second tallest man-made structure in Japan and functions as a communications and observation tower. Visitors can climb the tower for unparalleled views of Tokyo and the surrounding areas as well as visit shops and restaurants. The Emperor of Japan lives here at the Tokyo Imperial Palace. It also functions as an administration center and museum to showcase Japanese art and history. The palace is set on the ruins of older castles that were destroyed by either fire or even war, and architects have honored the past by incorporating design elements of the different eras into the modern palace. Mount Fuji is the highest mountain in Japan at almost 13,000 feet high. The volcano's symmetrical cone is a symbol of Japan, frequently depicted in art and photographs, as well as a popular tourist attraction for sightseers and climbers. Almost 200,000 people climb Mount Fuji every year, 30% of whom are foreigners. Temple of the Golden Pavilion is the most popular tourist attraction in Japan and Kyoto. The pavilion was originally built as a retirement villa for a shogun, but the pavilion was eventually burnt down in 1950 by an obsessive monk. A replica temple was later rebuilt. Emphasis is placed on the building and surrounding gardens being in harmony with one another. The pavilion is covered in gold leaf, which highlights the reflection of the pavilion in the pond and the pond's reflection on the building. And that's Japan.